everyone. Welcome,
Yay.
welcome. We made it. We finally made it. I want to thank you all for coming in today and watching the first of our three-part series on Protection Magic. My name is Trish. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Witchsea, and the lady to my right here needs no introduction. That's why you're all here, to see the Blue Witch talk about Protection Magic. We're so excited that you're here today. If you want to, if you haven't already, see people dropping in the chat where they're from. So let us know where you're coming in from. We love to see that. Liz is going to do a 30-minute discussion on the foundations of Protection Magic, and then we're going to do a 15-minute Q&A at the end here. And if you have any questions, just click into that question icon on the right. We won't be able to see your questions because the chat will come through pretty quick. So if you want to just pop your questions in there, and then we will get to as many as we can. And without further ado, I'm going to pass it over to Liz, and we're going to have some fun tonight.
Hey guys. I see there's so many comments coming through that my thing's not even keeping up with it, and that's so amazing. So first of all, thank you guys so much. You showed up, showed out, and I just want to take a second to thank Witchsea for everything that they've done, because it's just crazy. We talked about this. They threw it together so fast. They're working so hard over there for this platform and to bring people together, and I think that's absolutely incredible. So definitely go show them some love. I do just want to take a second to right, we're all here. So let's take a little breath, not a performance breath, right? We need to do just like a you showed up. You made it, you're here, and that already matters. That already shows it matters more than you probably think it does. So I do want to get into, this is part 1 of a 3-part series on Protection Magic, beginner Protection Magic, and I want to be really clear about what this is and what it's not, because a lot of people come into Protection Magic already tense as hell anyways. I think most of you guys follow me. Is there anybody here, maybe drop it in the chat or something, is there anybody here this is your first time seeing me? Because I want to say the majority of you follow me, so you know that from watching my videos that the whole purpose of my page is to break things down. Witchcraft in general, I think, has been romanticized and just really amped up. And it's not that I don't love a big ritual, so don't get me wrong here, because I love a big ritual. I love pretty things. I have cases of crystals in my china cabinet because I literally have no more room to display them, and I can't use them all anyways. There's so many. But I think that when beginners see things online and on Facebook and on Witch Talk, hi, and stuff like that, it just becomes so overwhelming. And I would like to think that the reason that you followed me in the first place is that just stripping all that stuff away and taking it back to its core, because witchcraft at its core is energy work. You are bending and forming and moving energy and learning how to manipulate it and how to transmute it. And at the core, that's what it is. So hopefully you didn't expect to come in here and for me to be like, here's all these spells, because I don't work that way. So part 1, okay, this is we're just going to talk about, this is not about, Protection Magic isn't about being afraid of the world, right? It's not about assuming that something is always watching you or feeding on you or out to get you or messing with you. It's not about walking around spiritually clenched up like you're bracing for impact. It's about learning how to feel safe in your own body, in your own space. And that's where we're going to be on this part 1. We're just going to take it down, get the foundation set, and then in part 2, that's where we're going to get into fun stuff. Okay. So it sounds simple, almost too simple, but that's actually the problem. Most people were never taught how to do that. They were never taught how to take it back to the basics. And over the past 25 plus years, I can't tell you how many times that I've just had to pause my practice and just take it back to the basics, refresh on the basics. So that's, you know, how a lot of people wander into spaces, trying to fix everything with spells when the foundation isn't there yet. So tonight's going to be slow on purpose, conversational on purpose. If you're waiting for the flashy stuff, stick around because that's coming. I promise. But if we skip this part, everything else feels shaky and overwhelming or like you're doing it wrong. So I'm not going to talk to you like a teacher behind a podium. I'm talking to you like I always talk to you. Like, you know, we're all friends here. I'm trying to, if I'm not like catching, if you're saying anything to me in the chat, I'm probably not catching it. But yes, that I see that, Eleanor, being safe in your own space. Absolutely. I'm just here to talk to you as a friend at this moment. A friend who has watched a lot of people burn themselves out because nobody sat down and said, hey, let's back up for a second. And I'm probably going to swear sometimes. Uh-oh. Oh, my little one just got out of bed. And I'm probably going to repeat myself. And I'm going to explain the same thing 3 different ways. Not because I think that you're not listening. It's just because that's how humans actually learn, especially when we are talking about safety and the nervous system. So we're just going to ease into it. Like I said, a lot of people come to protection magic because they feel tired all the time, or they're overwhelmed, or they're irritable for no clear reason, or like they need way more alone time than everyone else. That was a big one for me. I felt like I had to be alone more than other people needed to be alone. Or like I walk into a room and I immediately feel off, but I don't know why, right? And usually what we've been told is you're just sensitive, or you're empathetic, or you're just too open. And sometimes that's true. But honestly, a lot of the time, it's just that nobody ever taught you how to stay inside yourself. Protection magic, specifically at its core, is not about keeping everything else out. It's about keeping you in. So let me say that again, because it's going to come up a lot over these next few parts, the 3 different parts of the webinar. Protection magic is about learning how to stay inside yourself. Most people live halfway out of their bodies. Their attention is everywhere else, right? I mean, that's just life. It's in their phone. It's in other people's emotions. It's in tomorrow's worries. It's last week's conversations. Their body's just kind of along for the ride. And when you live like that, you're going to feel drained. You're going to feel overstimulated. You're going to feel like you're constantly recovering from something. And that doesn't mean that you're broken. It just means that you have adapted. So before we talk about spells or tools or jars, wards, any of that stuff, we just need to talk about awareness. Awareness is the least glamorous skill in magic. Like, nobody makes viral videos about awareness, right? It's the most important one that you're going to learn, though. It truly is. Awareness just means noticing when something is going on with you, not fixing it, not judging it, not just noticing it right now. Like, in this moment, if you can, just notice your body. Where are you holding tension? Are you holding it in your jaw, in your shoulders, maybe in your stomach or your lower back? Maybe you don't even know where you're holding tension, and that's information too. You don't have to relax anything just yet. Just notice it. The act of noticing is already you pretty much coming back into yourself, being aware, right? And this is why grounding is always the first step we talk about. Grounding is one of those words that gets thrown around constantly. And even me, I talk about it all the time on my videos, and almost nobody actually explains what it feels like. So I'm going to try to explain it like you've never heard it before. Grounding is not imagining roots unless that helps you, unless that's what works for you. Grounding is not forcing yourself to feel calm. It's not sitting perfectly still and trying to do it right. Grounding is bringing your attention into your physical body and the present moment. That's it. If you've ever felt floaty, spaced out, disassociated, lightheaded, or like you're watching life from slightly outside of it, that's being ungrounded. And here's the part that people probably don't say enough, but that is often a survival skill. Your nervous system learned how to do that to protect you at some point. So we're not going to shame it for that. We're not going to force it to stop doing that. We're just going to teach it another option. Grounding can be really simple, like feeling your feet in your shoes, pressing them gently against the floor, feeling a chair under you while you're sitting, or even like pressing down, just pressing yourself down in that chair and feeling the weight of yourself for like 10 seconds. Okay. Let your breath drop a little lower into your belly down here instead of staying up in your chest. Sometimes grounding feels warm, sometimes it feels heavy, sometimes it feels like nothing at all. And all of that is normal. It's all normal. So here's something that beginners really need to hear. If your grounding feels boring, that doesn't mean it's not working. If you're used to chaos, calm can feel unfamiliar. And this is where protection magic actually starts to make sense, because you cannot protect what you're not inside of. If you're halfway disassociated already and you try to throw up a shield, it's like locking the door to a house that you're not fully standing in, right? I mean, if the door is open and you can lock the door, but it's open. So what are you keeping out? The protection doesn't anchor when you're like that. So grounding is step one, always, 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 always. The people that subscribe to me, they'll know, like in all my videos, I'm like, okay, we ground. And then it's like, breath, thought, beat on the floor or something like that. Like I always say something. It's just like a little 3-part thing. It doesn't take long to do. So once grounding starts to feel at least a little familiar, that's when cleansing comes in. And I want to undo some damage here, because yes, shallow breathing is not healthy. When you breathe, when I'm doing deep breathing intentionally, I actually move my arms. So I don't know, it helps. Try it. It helps. But I do want to undo some damage around cleansing, because that also gets misunderstood constantly. Cleansing is not banishing demons. It's not dramatic. It's not about something being wrong. Cleansing is maintenance. So think about your physical space. Dust builds up, dishes pile up. Not because you're cursed, not because it's just because you live there. Energy works the same way. So you talk to people, you scroll, you are having conversations, you're worrying, you care deeply, and all of that leaves residue. Cleansing is just clearing out what doesn't need to be carried anymore. That's why there are so many different ways to cleanse. Like you can use smoke, you can use water, you can use sound, movement, breath, rest. Let me say it again, even rest. Rest counts. Sleep is cleansing. Crying can be cleansing. Laughing can be cleansing. Have you ever had like a really, really bad day and you just all of a sudden break down and you just bawl your eyes out, and after you're done, you feel so much better? Like, I know I can't be the only one. I'll have a lizard fascinated with me. That's amazing. So yeah, beginners get really hung up on tools. What incense should I use? What herb is best? What moon phase? These things matter later. They matter later. Right now, what matters is understanding the feeling of before and after. Before cleansing might feel heavy, buzzy, cluttered, tight. After cleansing usually feels quieter, clearer, not euphoric, just steadier. If you don't feel anything dramatic, that's okay too, because subtle is normal. One of the biggest mistakes that people make is assuming that protection magic should feel intense, that it should feel like something big. And in reality, the better you get at it, the calmer it feels. That naturally leads us into shielding. So, shielding. Have we heard of shielding? I don't think I've covered that on my page, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. But shielding is what most people think protection magic is. And yes, shields matter, but they come after the grounding and cleansing for a reason. So a shield is like a boundary, not a wall that you got to strain to hold up. Something that I see a lot is like people thinking that when they're doing protection magic, they have to like envision this white circle of light, almost like it's like a cylinder enclosing them or something, where they say, you know, when you're out and about or you're running errands or doing whatever, you know, you can just put up this shield. But having to work to keep that up all day is like that has to drain you. That has to drain you. Like a good shield feels neutral, like personal space, like you can breathe. If you feel exhausted after shielding, you're doing too much. Protection should not drain you. And here's a really important shift. Shields are not about keeping the entire world out. They're about choosing what you engage with. You don't need to block out everything. You just need to stop absorbing everything. Protection magic is not so much like putting up a wall, it's like a filter, right? So you're choosing what you are allowing to come into your space and interact with you. And a lot of people confuse protection with being on guard all the time, always scanning or bracing. That's not magic, that's anxiety. That's anxiety in spiritual clothes. It's in disguise. That's anxiety. Real protection feels boring, safe, and uneventful, especially uneventful if you're doing it right, you know? So I just want to slow us down here again, because this part really matters more than people realize. You do not need to see energy. You do not need to feel tingles. You do not need to sense colors or auras or anything fancy. Magic responds to attention, intention, and repetition. If you have ever locked your door at night and felt safer, that's magic. If you have ever wrapped yourself in a blanket when you were overwhelmed, that's protection magic. If you have ever taken a deep breath before a hard conversation, it's protection magic. If, you know, we're just learning how to do it on purpose. That's what we're doing. And when I say we're just learning how to do it on purpose, it's like, this is what I mean. Up until now, most of your protection has been probably accidental, depending on where you are in your path. But I know there's a lot of beginners here, so most of it has probably been accidental, reactive. You locked the door because you were scared. You pulled back because you were overwhelmed. You disassociated because it was too much. None of that makes you weak. It makes your system, or it means your system was trying to keep you safe with the tools that it had. So part 2 is where we're going to start turning those automatic reactions into conscious choices. This is the part where protection stops being something that you only think about when you're already drained, and starts becoming something that you live inside of. And I want to say this gently, because a lot of people get defensive here. Protection magic is mostly not spells. It's habits and boundaries. It's knowing yourself well enough to notice when something's off before you're completely fried and fizzled, right? This is where people usually say, okay, but how do I know when I need protection? And the honest answer is that you already know. You just don't trust yourself yet. You know when your shoulders creep up. You know when your stomach tightens. You know when you suddenly want to disappear from a conversation or leave a room or shut your phone off. Most people feel those signals and then immediately override them like they didn't just happen. Protection magic in daily life starts with not overriding yourself. So let's talk more about boundaries, because this is where things get real and a little bit uncomfortable. A boundary is not a confrontation. It's not a dramatic announcement. It's not you explaining yourself until you're exhausted. A boundary is simply a decision that you make about what you will and won't engage with. And here's the part people don't like to hear. Boundaries don't require other people's understanding to work. If you wait for permission to protect yourself, you'll be waiting forever. A lot of beginner witches try to solve boundary problems with spells. They'll do protection work, cleansing work, cord cutting work, and then they keep saying yes to the things that drain them. That's not a magic problem, that's a self-trust problem. So part of protection is learning how to notice your no signs early, before resentment sets in, before exhaustion hits, before you start blaming yourself for being sensitive. And this is where grounding comes back in, because you can't notice your boundaries if you're not in your body. Think about the last time you felt drained after interacting with someone online or in person. There was probably a moment early on where something felt slightly off, not dangerous or anything, just off, and you ignored it. You ignored it. Protection magic is learning to pause in that moment. Sometimes protection looks like leaving early. Sometimes it looks like not responding right away. Sometimes it looks like saying, I need to think about that, instead of giving an automatic yes. And that's not rude. That's responsible. Yes. I'm reading chat messages over here. So let's talk about something that trips a lot of people up. The idea that being protected means being closed. You don't need to harden yourself to be safe. You just don't. A lot of people swing too far in the other direction, and they learn about shields, and suddenly they're just walking around tense, guarded, emotionally locked down, and that's not protection. That's fear pretending to be strength. Real protection is flexible. It adjusts. It's adjustable. It lets in what feels good and keeps out what doesn't. So think about it like volume control, not like a wall. Some days you need the volume turned way down. Other days you're fine with it being blasted, like full on open. Protection that works with your real life has to be adaptable. This is also where daily protection habits come in. Daily protection doesn't mean an hour-long ritual every morning. It means small, repeatable actions that tell your system, I'm paying attention. So that might be grounding. Might be grounding for 30 seconds before you check your phone. Might be shaking out your hands after a stressful interaction. It might be washing your face and consciously just letting the day rinse off and down the drain. Consistency matters more than complexity. If your protection only exists when you're already overwhelmed, it's always going to feel like damage control. And we're aiming for maintenance. So let's talk about social spaces, because this is where a lot of people leak energy without realizing it. Crowds, at work, with coworkers, family gatherings. Family gatherings are horrible sometimes. Group chats, comment sections. You don't have to absorb everything that passes through your awareness. You can be present without being porous. So that might look like silently reminding yourself, this isn't mine to carry. It might look like grounding your feet with emotion when emotions are in the room. When things start to spike a little bit, it might look like logging off before your body starts buzzing. Caring deeply does not require self abandonment. This is also where shielding becomes less of a visualization and more of a felt sense. Instead of imagining or trying to visualize something elaborate, think about how much space you actually need around you to breathe, because that's your shield. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to put a shield up, within arm's length of you. How much space do you need to breathe? That can be your shield. Um, it can be close to you. It can be soft. It can be firm when it needs to be. If you forget to do this sometimes, that's cool. You're human. We're all human, unfortunately. So protection magic's not about perfection. It's about repair. You notice when you're drained, you ground, you cleanse, you reset over and over. That repetition is what builds resilience. Protection work will change your relationships, not because you're becoming difficult or distant, but because you're no longer available for the same patterns, the same bullshit that you've been available for. Some people will adjust to that and some won't. That's not a failure of magic, that's clarity. And this is why we're doing this before external spell work. Because when you do wards, charms, and jars later, they amplify what's already happening internally. So, no judgment, no fixing. If you took that second to notice yourself. So, I just want to kind of ask you, like, do you feel a little more aware of your body? Um, a little more permission to pause yet? Because if you took that time to like be aware of yourself and just like be in your body for a second, that's the work. You're doing it. You're doing it right now. In part 3, when that comes around, we're going to start talking about external protections, tools, objects, or I'm sorry, in part 2, we're going to be talking about that. Why they work, when they do. But for now, I just really want you guys to like sit and be aware. Just be aware of yourselves. You're learning how to protect yourself on purpose. And that takes time because you have worked so hard your entire lives and protected yourself on accident. And you've fallen into certain patterns. You've fallen into things that you're going to do just out of habit. And so we just need to be able to take that little pause when something is bothering us, step back. Whoa, what is that? I'm feeling uncomfortable. Let's be aware of that. Let's do something about that. We're not just going to shut it down anymore. Okay? That's where I kind of want to wrap this up. So like I said, I think in part 2, we're going to get into correspondences, tools, how to use things, how we're going to take what we just learned and apply that to our spell work. I don't know if oh, thanks. You know how many people I've had in videos be like, what are those amazing books behind you? I want to know what those are. And I'm like, it's a tapestry. It's not real. But so I think if Trish is here, I don't know. I'm looking at the time over here. I didn't want to run over, but we're at 29 minutes. So I didn't know if you wanted to get into the Q&A. But in part 2, we're going to pick up exactly where we just left off. Like, I'll just jump right back into it. I might do a little bit of a recap in case there's new people, but we're going to jump back into that real quick in part 2.
Yeah, so we have a few questions that popped up here. So we'll start with the top one. And some of them are just comments. So I'll just let you make a comment to their comment.
I was trying to watch over there, but it was like, I don't know. I couldn't read and talk at the same time. I'm not very good at multitasking.
So June says grounding is extremely neutral.
Yes. When you're grounding, You are you're just becoming aware of your body. Grounding, a lot of people compare grounding to like, they think it's that big thing where you have to grow roots and you put them down into the ground. And I'll be honest with you, that's my go-to because it helps me though. But that's not what grounding is about. You're not like purposely growing roots just to grow roots. You are growing roots really because it gives you something to focus your mind on, and you have to use your senses to do that. So it brings you back into your body. The act of having to imagine that brings you back into your body. So when you're grounded, you're just aware of the present moment. You are aware of what's happening around you, how energy is affecting you. You're aware of how you're feeling instead of the overreactions, the being overstimulated, the letting your energy leak out and getting away from yourself. Grounding is just more coming back into the moment.
Here's a really great question by Olivia. What's the best way to keep up your protection work when you feel really energy drained? Great question.
So, if you're feeling really drained, simple daily things that you can work into your routine that you're already things that you're already doing. So, if you are, for one thing, think of that shield, okay? It's much easier to pop that shield out if you're thinking about it as in how much space do I need to breathe right now. It's much easier to just pop that out for 10, 20 seconds, and that's all you need. That's all you need to get you through without totally draining yourself. You can have, if you keep moon water, or if you keep, I don't know, where you are, what you have, but if you keep moon water, if you keep Florida water, if you keep crystals around, basic little things like that. Carry a grounding crystal in your pocket. Something, black stones tend to absorb negativity and they take in energy like that. So if you had like a black tourmaline or an obsidian, also, what is it? Jaspers are very, very grounding. Um, so I mean, you have lots of options. I wouldn't do like a clear quartz because that's going to it's an amplifier. So stay away from anything that amplifies when you're feeling like that because you don't want to make it worse. But like, you can carry crystals with you and charge those to protect you. You can take some Florida water and just kind of anoint yourself, the back of your neck, your third eye, just kind of dab it around here. That will help. That will, if you have to use your intentions a little, but those are just such easy things. Moon water, keep moon water that you can drink. Charge that moon water to protect you. And then it's kind of one of those things where you that is kind of a set it and forget. I know you guys have heard me say like the crock pot spells, set it and forget it. That we don't really do that, but sometimes we do. And that's one of those things that you can do that with. You can make moon water, you can set it out, charge it up with the intentions of protection, and then store that somewhere. And when you need, obviously you don't want to let it sit forever and get stale or something, but when you need a little boost of protection, when you're feeling down like that, take a drink of it. I mean, just little things that you can work into daily life.
Let's see. Caroline asks, could dancing be considered cleansing?
Absolutely. Absolutely. 100%. Yes. If you are dancing with the intention of running all that negative, like, have you ever been able to stay in a bad mood when someone's dancing and having a good time and genuinely like enjoying themselves? It's hard to stay in a bad mood. And I feel like it's the same way with negative energy. Negative energy is not going to stick around where it's like, where it doesn't fit in, right? Like you're just going to run it out. You're just going to run it out. If dancing helps you cleanse, dance, movement raises energy. Movement can help raise your vibrations in general. So absolutely dance.
All right. And Michelle asks, what is Florida water?
So Florida water is actually a men's cologne. But the ingredients that it's made up of, and there's many different variations of it, but most people, I have some on my shelf, but I can't reach it. Most people just buy it, but you can make it at home too. I don't know the specific ingredients. That girl right there's the one to ask though, but she makes Florida water. But the specific ingredients that make it up is it's it basically turns it into a spiritual water that you can use to cleanse with. It's also highly flammable, makes a great fire starter in your cauldron. I mean, there's so many uses for it. You can use it as a floor wash. You can use it for protection. You can use it for cleansing. You can use it. There's so many uses of Florida water. And I think I didn't know this, but I think I saw a comment not too long ago that like you can even get that at Walmart now. I didn't know that. So I mean, it's not really hard to find either. But if you can get a hold of the, like I said, I can't reach mine, but if you can even just go in there and look at the ingredients on the back, you know.
Yeah, and we don't gatekeep either. We'll give you ingredients, and
That's why I said talk to her because listen, these ladies are incredible.
all right. So the next two, let me get rid of that one. Let's see where it was. Okay. The next two are kind of talking about ADD. So we'll two birds with one stone. What's your best advice for those with ADD and trouble concentrating, learning how to ground?
So you're going to approach your grounding from a more you're going to do the simple ways. You're going to start simple. You don't have to keep it simple, but you want to start simple. Because grounding is not, for some reason, it's like everybody thinks that that when you ground, that it's like meditating or something, or that you're doing it for a long time. And that's not the case at all. It can take 10 seconds. It can take 10 seconds. And I mean, I don't know how bad your attention span is, but 10 seconds isn't too bad. You can, like I said, feel the weight of your feet in your shoes. Put your feet on the floor. Take a couple deep breaths. The thing is that you're doing it. It really doesn't matter so much what you're doing, is that you're doing it intentionally to bring awareness into your body. And that usually takes 5 to 10 seconds, depending on, it can take longer depending on if you're extremely wound up. But in an average moment, just to say, hey, I'm going to stop and ground right now because I'm trying to get in the habit of doing that, especially once you start doing it more and more and more, it becomes easier and it becomes almost like second nature. You do it without even thinking about it. It becomes a habit to do it. So just even that second of like when you feel frustrated, or when you feel like you're losing concentration, or when you feel like your brain is kind of going in 18 different directions, you do have to have the ability to notice that, to just say, hey, I'm doing that thing. Let me do that thing and think on my feet. Like it, and then, 5 to 10 seconds. That's all you need. That's all you need to ground. You can do it. If you wanted to make it more fun, I mean, you could go outside barefoot and run around. You could, anything really. I mean, as long as you're just doing it intentionally and bringing yourself back into the present moment instead of being scattered everywhere.
And Eleanor asks, can it be done on the go, like before going out into the world?
Yes, absolutely. I do it right before you get in your car. You're already standing 9 times out of 10. I mean, you're already standing on the ground. If you can get to grass, just to even, I mean, you're going to have your shoes on. So I'm not sure how it reads. Like, I watched like the study of where they read the, like, I don't know what it's called, like the electromagnetic stuff that like comes, how your body radiates when it's touching earth versus how it's touching, like how it does when it's touching concrete and things like that. And there's zero. When you're standing on concrete or cement or rock and things like that, it's zero. When you stand on dirt, on the earth, your body, like the chemical makeup of your body, literally changes. And that's without you having to be intentional. You don't even have to think about it for that to happen. That's just something that scientifically happens. So if you are like walking to your car on your way out the door, take 1 to 2 deep breaths before you pull the handle. Stop right there at the car door and take 1 or 2 deep breaths. Do it that way.
All right. How do you trust the decision you make when you're not sure of what the boundary is?
I think I need more
More context.
more context for that.
We'll get back to that one, Christina. Maybe with a little bit more context, you can ask that in the next one, and then we can answer it a little bit better for you.
I'll make a note. You said it was Christina?
Yeah.
Maybe find out if she has signed up for the second one. And then if she has, we'll make a note of her name to get back to her.
All
Or
right.
you can message me, but I can't guarantee I'll get to it.
Let's try this one. To piggyback off the energy draining, what do you do when not only feel drained, but others' emotional energy too? So if you're pulling in others' energy around.
So that's where shielding comes in. And some people refer to it differently too, because some people call it shielding, some people call it veiling. I do believe there's a slight difference though, as far as because you're talking along the lines of being like empathic or empathetic, right? And that's where you're absorbing all the emotions of the people around you. So a lot of people will wrap their head, wear a hat, throw a hood up. When you're out in public, like if it's happening when you're out in public, you can throw a hood up, you can wear a pretty scarf, something to but I have seen that a lot of people do that when they're extremely empathetic, and it helps kind of block your absorption. But also shielding, you can do that. It's the same principle with shielding too. So when you're just kind of throwing up that wall, and it's harder, I will say it's maybe a little bit not harder. It's just that you have to approach it in a different way if you can't visualize. But for those that can visualize, and you do visualize that kind of like light or that glow or a wall, however you picture it, because everybody kind of pictures it differently, real close to your body, that's going to help stop that too, because you've already made yourself aware. Once you've thrown that up, you've already went through if you're going through the steps, you've grounded, and now you're shielding, so that's going to help stop those emotions from coming in. That's why I said it's so important to learn the foundations of like energy work before you get into other things, because stuff like that, especially when you're empathetic or when you're extra drained, I personally don't even practice when I'm feeling way, way, way low, when I'm sick, when I am too scattered to concentrate on basic things. I don't even attempt to do spell work. I will take a step back, take a day to ground, take a day to get right with myself before I even attempt spell work. So, but if we're just talking, keeping other people's emotions out, shielding and veiling, look into shielding and veiling, because I don't know. I never really did the veiling, but the shielding, that helped me a lot.
All right. And what crystal do you recommend for social anxiety?
Social anxiety. I'm running through all the crystals correspondences in my brain. I
think black stones, I'll tell you, they do wonders for just keeping any negative energy out.
Black stones, and it's called, I have a couple. I didn't know what they were until when I used to have my shop, a lady came in, and I bought some from her personally. It's called apophyllite, and it has like the way it's shaped. It's like they usually sell them very small. You can get big ones, but you usually see them very small, and they have little points, and you put them up to your heart, or even if, because I know you said in social situations. So if you have it in your pocket, you want to kind of like twist it with your hand to where the point is pointing out. It directs energy through it. So whatever you are projecting, if you want to bring something in, you would point it at you. If you want to, send your anxiety out of yourself to get rid of it, you would point it away from you. That's called a path of light.
All right. And then we'll take, I think we got time for, we'll just do one more. What are your opinions on you have to believe everything you use is working? Like, are you able to set an intention even if you feel doubtful?
Um, you're probably not going to like my answer, but I'm going to stand on that hill. I'm going to stand on that hill. I think that that's the reason that a lot of beginner spell work not necessarily fails, but like fizzles out eventually, is because you have that self doubt and you're always asking yourself, okay, well, what's the difference? What did I change? Why don't I see the results? Why don't I, why don't I have the money yet? Why do I not feel different? And you have to give your spells time to settle. And if you go back, it's kind of like the law of attraction, right? If you go back and you keep thinking like, why haven't I got this yet? Why isn't this working yet? That yet reinforces to the universe that you don't have it. You don't have it. So what the continuous thoughts that run through your mind is what you're going to attract. So if you just keep thinking about how you don't have it, the universe thinks you don't want it. She doesn't have it. She doesn't want it. So why would I give it to her? You know what I mean? So you have to give your spells time to hit, give them time to settle. Don't check on them constantly, because the more you worry and fret about it or doubt yourself, the more you're reinforcing to the universe that doubt. That's why they say when you're doubtful, when you're upset, when you're angry and things like that, you put that into your spell work whether you want to or not. You can be consciously aware even sometimes, like, I'm extremely angry right now and I don't want that to go into my spell work, and it's still going to go in there because you're not in control of your subconscious mind. You're only in control of your conscious. So unfortunately, I want to stand on that one. I think that the more you do spell work, that's not something that you can just jump into. You can't just say, okay, I'm going to do spells today and I'm going to be confident and I'm going to forget about them and I'm going to know that I was heard, because that's just not human nature to do that. So it comes with experience. It's just one of those things where you have to keep doing it. You have to keep doing the spells. You have to keep doing the work. You have to keep learning. And the further you get into it, eventually that doubt it'll fade. And before you know it, you'll be doing spells without even thinking about that anymore. It's just something that happens with a lot of beginners. And like I said, it's human nature. It's something new. You've never done it before. So how could you have full faith in something you've never done before, you know?
And there were a couple other questions, but I'll answer them. It has to do with how do they sign up for parts 2 and 3. So if you follow our Facebook page, Witchsea, we'll post the links there. The Blue Witch will also post the links on her Facebook page, so you'll be able to sign up for both of them there. If you want to see a replay, we are going to post this probably within like 72 hours. We'll have a new tab on witchsea.com called Witchsea Academy. You'll be able to see all of the webinars that we post. There'll be free webinars. There'll be some paid webinars coming up with more content, and there'll be more to come on that. And then I do want to say thank you all for coming tonight. We really appreciate you staying up and hanging out with us. And as a little surprise gift, everybody that attended live today, we're going to do a drawing. So we'll get the report after all the people that attended live, and we'll do a random pick, and you'll get a set of our shop, Two Sisters of the Harvest Moon. You'll get a set of our protection candles and our deep protection oil. It's phenomenal.
Are you doing the spiritual armor?
We're going to do the spiritual armor. Yes. Yes.
Those candles are amazing. I have those. Those are incredible.
So somebody is going to win that tonight. So we will post that on our Witch See Facebook page tomorrow, who the winner is. So if you see your name, just
Jealous.
girl, you already have a set.
Jealous. I think I don't count.
But I want to thank you all so much for coming tonight. Please visit us at witchsea.com and see the new vendors and see the new items that have come in. They're every single day. So we've got
I'm
great
gonna go broke on that site. I'm gonna go broke on them.
Same here. I'm spending
I'm
all my
like self control. Don't click it. Don't click it.
Thank you so much, Liz. I appreciate it. And again, everybody, thank you so much. And we hope to see you back for part 2 and part 3. Have a good night. Bye,
Thanks,
everyone.
guys. Bye.